Louis was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes in May 2012 when he was just 22 months. And we were actually on a road trip up to Dubbo in a big motorhome with all the kids, and he was just soaking through nappies in about 2 hours at a time and just incredibly thirsty and angry if he dropped a drink of water. And we went to Sydney a week later and he was diagnosed the next day. And he spent a week in Sydney Children's Hospital. He was quite sick when he got there. He had diabetic ketoacidosis. So it was really traumatic. We had huge problems stabilising his blood sugars. For the first 3 months he was on injections, and then we switched over to a pump in the hope of trying to get better blood sugar control. And we're getting there, but he's still very, very unstable. His blood sugars can just go from high to low during the course of a day. The impact on our family was huge. He's got an 8-year-old brother and a 6-year-old sister, and they struggled really hard in the first few months, thinking that they were going to get it, or thinking that Louis was going to be seriously ill and not with us any longer. When Louis was diagnosed, our life was literally turned up on end in an instant. I mean, it was just the worst moment of my life, I think. It just didn't seem real. It took me probably at least 3 or 4 weeks just to, I think, accept it, and a long time to actually come to terms with it. And just the sheer amount of information you need to take on board in a very quick period of time when you're very stressed and sleep deprived, that was really hard. And just the fear, I think, of bringing a child home from hospital with very unstable blood sugar levels. A typical day for us managing Louis' type 1 diabetes will involve, he usually wakes up at 6 o'clock. We then will give him a finger prick just to see where his blood sugar level's at and enter that into our CGM to sort of keep it accurate throughout the day. He'll have breakfast, and whatever he eats, he has a sort of, it varies day to day, but we usually have to weigh and measure everything and then give him some insulin before and some insulin after for what he's eaten. Then we'll carry about our day, go to the park, do school drop-offs. Same thing happens at morning tea. He has a blood sugar check. So the rest of the day will continue the same. Anytime he has anything to eat, we'll take a blood sugar check and then give him his food and give him his insulin through his insulin pump. We find that if he's been very active, he might have episodes of very low blood sugar level, and then sometimes for no particular reason, or it could be something that he's eaten, his blood sugar level will go very high. So we're constantly throughout the day looking at what Louis' blood sugar level is and adjusting his insulin dose accordingly, or if his blood sugar is low, giving him hypo treatments. Yeah, so I think if there was some technology that could alert me to a mobile phone, say for example what Louis' blood sugars were doing, that would just be fantastic and very reassuring to know that if, say, he was at, well, he will be at school in a couple of years' time, if he was at school and his blood sugars were trending high throughout the day, that I could go in or give instructions over the phone for somebody to take some action to bring that back down. And also we've had periods with Louis where he's had all of a sudden, completely out of the blue, very sustained low blood sugars in the preschool setting, and they've alerted me to it, but they've had to sit and watch it for maybe 1 or 2 hours, whereas if I was getting constant readings, I could have probably intervened sooner and acted more quickly. I found out about the Danny Mees Barlow Foundation through some online Facebook groups that I'm a member of that are mostly parents with children with type 1 diabetes in Australia.